Today we're going to explore the way poets use words. To get us started today, I have a poem I'm going to share with you by Shel Silverstein, and the title of this poem is Noise Day. So I'm going to read this poem, you can just sit back and enjoy it, and then we'll talk about it just a bit. Noise Day. Let's have one day for girls and boyses, when you can make the grandest noises. Screech, scream, holler and yell, buzz a buzzer, clang a bell, sneeze, hiccup, whistle, shout, laugh until your lungs wear out. Toot a whistle, kick a can, bang a spoon against a pan, sing, yodel, bellow, hum, blow a horn, beat a drum, rattle a window, slam a door, scrape a rake across the floor, use a drill, drive a nail, turn the hose on the garbage pail, shout yahoo, hurrah, hooray, turn up the music all the way, try and bounce your bowling ball, ride a skateboard up the wall, chomp your food with a smack and a slurp, chew, chomp, hiccup, burp. One day a year to do all of these. The rest of the days, be quiet, please. So one of the things that I really enjoy about this poem is the way Shel Silverstein plays with different words and uses different words. So for example, I like it in the third line here, he says screech, scream, holler, and yell. So those words, screech, scream, holler, and yell, are examples of words that are synonyms, right? They share a similar meaning, but they don't mean exactly the same thing. So screech, scream, holler, and yell all share this meaning of yelling out really loud, talking out really loud. But some of the words are a little bit more intense, mean a little bit more than the others. For example, I might say holler is a little bit stronger than yell. A screech seems a little bit less than a scream to me. So one of the things to know about words is that while words have lots of different meanings and they share different meanings, sometimes there can be little differences in sort of the shade of meaning. So for example, glad and overjoyed both share a meaning of being very, very happy, right? I might be glad that my teacher doesn't assign any math homework. I might be overjoyed when my parents bring home a new puppy, right? Both of those words, glad and overjoyed, share this meaning of happy, but overjoyed is stronger, right? It's a stronger feeling than glad. So one of the things that poets and writers do is they sort of know the little variations, the little shades of meaning, the differences of shades of meaning in words, and that helps them to get their messages across to readers. So today what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some of the groups of words that we worked with this week, and we're going to just talk about them together and sort of sort them to figure out what the different shades of meaning might be. So I like to think of this sometimes as like a word thermometer. You might call it a word timeline. Some people might even call it a word array. So just like a thermometer, right, has different temperatures. At the bottom are the cooler temperatures, and the top are the stronger temperatures. It's the same idea with words, right? So we're going to explore some of our words together and just sort them on our word thermometer around words that maybe have less of a strong meaning and words that have a really strong meaning. So one of the words, the ideas that we explored a lot this week was rough. We worked a lot with some synonyms of rough. So let's take a look at some of our synonyms for the word rough, and we're just going to plot them out on our word thermometer with words that have like a meaning of a little bit less rough, maybe towards the bottom end, and words that have a stronger meaning of rough towards the top. So let's get started with our word uneven, right? We said uneven could be a synonym for rough. A road could be uneven if it had some potholes and some rocks and some smooth spots. A day could be uneven if you had a great start to the day, but maybe your middle part of the day, you got into an argument with a friend. So uneven has this meaning of rough, but it's not really, really rough, right? It's not like your most horrible day ever. It's sort of like on the bottom. Like things weren't great, things weren't totally smooth, but there were times when it was okay. So uneven might be down here at the lower end of our thermometer. Okay? So these are all words that have to do with the idea of rough. So what about harsh? We had talked about that word harsh. If somebody says words that are harsh, you might feel really hurt, right? It might really hurt your feelings, it might be very unkind. If I speak to somebody in a way that's harsh, I might feel a lot of regret for what I said. So harsh is quite a bit stronger than uneven, right? When we talk about the idea of something being rough. So harsh, I think it might be up around here, right? I'm gonna really try to be careful to avoid saying things that are harsh, or if I feel like somebody was very harsh with me, very rough with me, it's gonna take me a while to feel better about that. So I think harsh is a little bit on the stronger side of the meaning. What about difficult? Things are a little bit difficult. Is that down here on the lower end? Or is it maybe up here on the higher end, or maybe somewhere in the middle? So I think if something is difficult, it's not quite as intense as harsh, but it's definitely harder for me than uneven. So I think I might say difficult is right around here. So it's like not quite as bad as hard. I might have a difficult day, which is not quite as bad as a harsh day, but it's worse than an uneven day. What about bumpy? If you're on a bumpy road, if you have a bumpy day, where would you put that on our thermometer here? Yeah, it might be down here, right? Again, sort of like uneven, maybe a little bit stronger. Or what about rocky? Rocky and bumpy, those seem pretty similar, right? Things are a little bit rocky. It might be a little bit stronger than bumpy, but not a lot. So I'm going to put those two pretty close together. So again, you see how all of these words share this meaning, share these ideas of rough, right? They're all synonyms. They all share an idea of something being rough, right? But some are more rough than others. What about brutal? Something is brutal, right? It's devastating. So you think about Lord Voldemort in Harry Potter is brutal, right? The Wicked Witch of the West could be brutal to Dorothy, right? I might have a brutal day if I have a terrible fight with my best friend and we don't make up. That would feel brutal to me. So brutal is really, really rough. So I'm going to put that up here at the very top, right? That is like really intense. A feeling of something being brutal to me feels very intense. So I'm going to say that's going to go up higher in the sort of the intensity. What about hard? Yeah, hard is sort of here with difficult, right? Very similar, right? Something is hard. Difficult might be a little bit more extreme than hard, but again, very similar. So we're going to put these here very close together. And then prickly. Remember that cool word prickly? Person's personality could be prickly. If they might be a little bit rude, a little bit unkind, where would you put prickly? So not quite as difficult as harsh. So maybe here around difficult. I might even put it here. Somebody's feeling prickly. I think it might be here around difficult and hard. Maybe a little bit tougher than hard. Okay. And again, these things that will change, right? This can change. This is just sharing our thinking about it. But what you need to know is that words have different shades of meaning, different intensity. So something could be uneven if it's rough. Something could be brutal if it's rough. Brutal is a stronger feeling, right? A stronger meaning than something being uneven. So let's explore one more round here with some of the words we worked with this week. I'll clear these off. And we'll take a look at it. We'll do another thermometer here. Actually, we'll just do it. Let me move this over here. Let's just do it around this side. Okay, so we also talked about words that were antonyms for unfriendly. Words that sort of meant friendly. So we had several words that were antonyms for friendly that meant unfriendly. So let's take a look at some of our words, and again, we'll sort of plot them. Words that mean less and words that have a stronger meaning. So we'll start with the word hostile. If somebody is hostile, they're really, you don't want to be around them, right? That could be really, really rude, really difficult. They might like argue all the time. They're carrying a lot of very strong feelings. So hostile to me, when I think about the ideas of something being unfriendly, hostile is up here. It's pretty strong, right? So Lord Voldemort, hostile to Harry Potter, right? The Wicked Witch of the West is hostile to Dorothy. Okay? So hostile might be up here, right? It's a pretty intense word. What about the word unfriendly? If somebody's unfriendly, maybe they don't necessarily smile when I pass them on the sidewalk, right? Maybe they're a little bit abrupt with me. They're not really hostile. So I'd say unfriendly is a little bit down here, right? Like I'm not gonna really choose to go hang with them, but it's not like super intense. So unfriendly might be down here on the lower end in terms of like the strength of that word meaning, right? What about cruel? If somebody's cruel, right? They're really on purpose being very unkind. So something's cruel, to me, that's a stronger word than unfriendly, right? If I'm cruel, I'm trying on purpose, right, to hurt your feelings or be mean. So I might say cruel is up here. It might be closer to hostile in terms of the intensity of the meaning. What about unkind? Cruel and unkind are similar, aren't they? You might be unkind without realizing it, right? You didn't say hi to somebody, you didn't hear them, you might come off as unkind, but you didn't mean it. If you're cruel, to me, you are on purpose trying to do something to hurt somebody else. So I might say unkind is a little bit more down here, right? It's still something that's not friendly, right? It's still something that's hurtful, but it's not as intense as cruel or hostile. All right, let's take a look at just two more here. What about mean? That was a really mean. If you see something that's really mean, right? Again, that might be up here, right? Sort of with unkind. Might be a little bit more intense. Mean. Something is really mean. And rude. Somebody is rude, or they might have bad manners, right? So I might say rude. I might say rude is around here with mean and unkind. I'm going to kind of put it over here. Okay, so again, you see how all of these words share a meaning of something being unfriendly, right? But they vary in how intense they are, right? If somebody is hostile, or if I feel hostile towards somebody, that's a much stronger feeling than feeling unfriendly. So one of the things you can do as a writer when you're writing your thoughts or trying to get a message across to the reader is choose words that show how strongly you feel about something. So if you're writing about something that you feel very, very strongly about, you might choose to use words that are up here on the higher end of our thermometer, right? Brutal, hostile, those words that really carry a very powerful, intense meaning. And if you're writing about something that you don't feel as strongly about, you might choose words from down at the lower end of the thermometer. So one of the things you just need to know as you work with words is that words can share meanings, but sometimes there can be little differences in what we call the intensity of the meaning or the shade of the meaning. Some words can have stronger meanings than others, right? Like uneven versus brutal, or unfriendly versus hostile. So this is something you can explore in your reading, and also you can explore this in your writing. Thanks for learning with me today.